stand by for action.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and we have got a lot going on. First of all is what I would generally call, Scandal Ghidra. Now, if any of you are fans of the old 60s cheesy Japanese science fiction monster films, Ghidra was this big dragon that had 3 heads and really made a lot of trouble. Yes, the Obama administration, 3 major scandals broken out just since last Thursday. Well, not broken out, except really for a couple of them. First one, of course, is the one that's been ongoing. That one hasn't broken out. That one's ongoing, and it's just really gotten worse, basically, and that's the Benghazi scandal. We still don't have good answers for why 4 Americans died, other than the fact that the Obama administration wanted to cover for itself, look tough on terrorism while abandoning 4 Americans, and somehow covering everything up so that they could assure that Hillary Clinton will be able to sleaze herself into office in 2016. There's that one. Then there's the AP scandal, the one that's upset some of the press, at least for a little while. We talked about that a little bit last week. And yes, the press are beginning to sort of get the wagons, circled around Obama so that he can be protected, and get them circled around everyone that they like so that they can be protected, which is very interesting, since those are the very ones that are spying on them. Not all of them have jumped into that yet. There's still a few that claim outrage, but I don't see that lasting. And the last one, of course, was the big one for a lot of us, which was the absolute proof that the Obama administration has been targeting members of the Tea Party movement and religious groups and others on the right for special treatment by the IRS. And of course there are other agencies that they're using, but the IRS one is the most spectacular because, let's face it, almost everyone hates the IRS. But they've been totally told to specially treat people in the Tea Party movement for things like denial of tax-exempt status for their organization. And worse than that, I think, is audits and special kind of scrutiny for these groups and individuals, thereby not making this so much about which organization is and is not political, but about which individual does the Obama administration want to target to make their life a living hell, so that they might begin to get the message that the government doesn't like them. Those have been going on. Meanwhile, our intrepid leader is partying hearty, and the supposed trigger for the Benghazi scandal is still languishing in jail, and his records are still sealed. So let me just make a few comments on all of these. All right, they're going to be very general because I do want to bend your ear, but I don't want to break it off. First of all, the fellow that's languishing in jail about the video. Now, the first thing the left is going to tell you is that he's a parole violator, and that's why he's there. And fine, if he's a parole violator and he's been caught and that sort of thing, then okay, send him back to the joint. Why are we waiting 8 months? And, oh, by the way, why are his records sealed? Is that standard procedure in that state? Probably isn't. I'm guessing that, as a lot of other people have said, that's not the reason he's being held. He's definitely a political prisoner. If he's not a political prisoner, And all he is just another parole violator that's been picked up. Unseal his records and throw him back in the joint where he belongs. Treat him the same way you would any other parole violator, not someone who's an embarrassment to the Obama thugocracy. And I want to ask the left and people who have a progressive bent, particularly the older ones, the ones whose responsibility it is to lead their side of this movement, where the hell are you? No, I'm serious. You guys in the 1960s were the first ones to come out against corrupt government. You didn't want anything to do with the man. You thought the man was evil. Now you are the man. In the 1970s, you were the ones that squealed like little piggy wiggies about Watergate, and you haven't let a single opportunity go by since the Watergate hearings and the Nixon resignation to remind us all about Watergate. Not a single opportunity. Nothing. Okay? Where are you on the Obama administration? The Obama administration's treatment of Tea Party movement groups, individuals, and religious groups through the IRS is every bit as bad or worse than what Nixon did. In fact, with the information that keeps leaking out of the Obama administration on a daily basis, this is looking like even worse than what President Nixon did. This is Watergate on steroids. These hearings should be on all the national networks every day that they're going on. But, of course, they're not. Why aren't they, lefties? Why aren't they? I mean, isn't your fellow Americans being harassed by their government important? Or is it the fact that you don't like the people that are being harassed, so you think it's okay, and you'd rather watch your stories, or you'd rather watch the latest daytime TV show that, frankly, no kid should ever be exposed to, and sadly, a lot of them are when the things are still going on after school hours. That's another thing that I'll discuss another day. But at any rate, where's your outrage? Where is it? And I have to think here. If you're not outraged at this stuff, if you're not outraged at the fact that the press's communications are being tapped, if you're not outraged by the fact that groups and individuals here in the United States of America are being harassed with a government agency, all right, and if you're not harassed also by the fact that 4 Americans died in Benghazi and all we have gotten from our government have been lies about it, if you're not outraged by that, I think if you're on the left, you've really got to dig down and ask yourself whether or not you're not indulging in quite a bit of hypocrisy. See, a lot of people have asked me, since I'm a blind guy, why aren't you with the left? I mean, they want to give you stuff. Well, why aren't I with the left? Many reasons, some of which I won't get into here, but this is one of them. The left can't stand to not be hypocritical about a lot of things. And the fact that they're not hypocritical about Scandal Ghidra is one of the things that keeps me from sealing a deal with them as far as any kind of support. I can't do it. I can't support anyone who thinks that there's a double standard for one set of Americans and another set of Americans. The rules are the rules for everyone or for no one. If the left can't or won't see that because they have some pseudo-utopian goal in mind of a socialist, of some sort of a socialist paradise at the end of the rainbow, and the ends justify the means, then I think that says way more about them than it does about anything else, and I want to have nothing to do with them. What I'm saying to you guys on the left is, wake the hell up. All right, you love to talk about change. Change this, change that. Change is a constant. Yes, it is. And right now, if you're giggling because people are going after the Tea Party movement, or as one lefty that I particularly know called us teabaggers, if you're having a good time thinking about that, think about the fact that yes, change is a constant, and one day the government could be using these same techniques to come after you. Yes, I know they're going to tell you that they'd never do that, and you might buy it. But deep down in your heart, that that's not true. One of these days, when they're done with all the people you hate, they're going to start on you. So you've got a choice. You can either wait for that day, or you can stand with the defenders of liberty now and put a stop to this. All right. Now, another sort of fishtail into this is the tornado victims in Moore, Oklahoma. The tornado, the victims, just the terrible things that have gone on there. It wasn't very long before the left began jumping up and blaming global warming. And there was a congressman from, I believe it was Connecticut. Might be wrong about that, but it really doesn't matter. They were a Democrat. And before the searches were even finished for the kids that were killed in Moore, Oklahoma, they were up wasting everyone's time, blaming Republicans for not backing climate change. And Barbara Boxer, yes, the wonderful gun-grabbing senator from California, I know that one's right for sure, was proposing a carbon tax. Now I'm forced to ask, really, baby? You're going to do that when the real people out in the real America are digging themselves out from a natural disaster? And I've got to say to the other congressmen, they were saying, well, whenever these things happen, they always come to us for millions of dollars. Yeah, let me tell you something, Bullethead. The moment that happened, the real first responders in the United States of America, the people, swung into action. The kind of action that you might remember from back before you began suckling on the public service teat of our country. Yeah, they've been out there bringing every kind of aid to Moore, Oklahoma, almost to the point where they could say, take your FEMA money and jam it up your ass. Yeah, sorry, guys, that's not family friendly, but I never said this show was going to be. All right. Okay, and we've got a few little things to say to the groups like the Salvation Army and others who have been taking donations and doing a great job, by the way, after the Moore, Oklahoma tornado. What would be really great for you guys to do on your websites would be to make it clear that all of the personal information you're asking for is going to be eliminated after someone donates. That's because with the advent of the Obama administration IRS scandal, a lot of people are very nervous now about giving out extra personal information online. So you need to make it clear. I did because I donated over the phone. You need to make it clear that that personal information that's gathered will not be kept, that it will be immediately eliminated after the transaction has completed. Right now, the websites really don't make that clear, or if they do, the print is so small that almost no one can read it. Certainly not someone like me. But hey, those websites, along with all others, should be accessible anyway, and yes, it is easy to do that. Now, I'd like to wind the show down with a little bit of actual good news. I mean, over the past week, there have been just so many shots to the head that we've taken as a people here in the United States that there have been a few news stories, well, one in particular that caught my attention that we have just that we have talked about a little bit, but hasn't been talked about very much elsewhere, and it really does need to be talked about rather a lot for a little bit, and that is the fact that the state of Texas has decided to drop the C-scope standards for its curriculums in its schools. Now, this news is huge. Now, for those of you who don't like Glenn Beck and don't indulge in Glenn Beck because you don't think he's manly enough, all right, let me clue you in. Okay, C-scope replaced Common Core, the Common Core standards put out by the Obama administration. This was wonderful stuff that every school was going to have to teach. And by the way, Common Core is still going on all over the United States. You should really read up on Common Core. You can read up on it on the web at the actual Department of Education, I believe it is, website. Just use your favorite search engine. I use Start Page and look for Common Core, and you'll begin to get an education on this stuff. It does stuff like telling teachers that they have to under pain of their schools losing federal funding, teach kids that communism is the best system for economics, and asking them questions such as, was the Boston Tea Party an act of terrorism? And other little goodies in there like ongoing testing of students, including brain scans. Yeah, ready for that? All right. I don't think so. But yeah, if you're one of these people that's been too cool to listen to Beck at all up to now, that's what Common Core is. And people objected to Common Core in Texas, so they said, okay, fine, we won't do Common Core in Texas. We'll do something else. So they came up with C-scope, which was essentially the same thing. And parents got together through social media, and they met up, and they went out, and they fought this, and they won. And on Monday it was announced that C-scope will be scrapped. Now, I would advise parents in Texas to watch out, because we want to make sure down there that C-scope is not replaced with something as bad or worse. However, I find this incredibly encouraging news, because it shows that even under the Obama thugocracy, the people are still able to make things happen, good things, and they're able to chase the fascist cockroaches back into the baseboards where they belong. And I think this is important, guys, not only for this issue, but for the Second Amendment issues that we're still having. I also heard that, for instance, 55 of the 62 county sheriffs in Colorado are challenging their horrific anti-gun laws at this point, and that it's all a piece with one thing that is a central theme that I think we should all keep in our minds. That concerted action through social media and our ability and our desire and our willingness to oppose this administration, while it won't be without problems for us as groups and as individuals, thanks to Obama thuggery, it can and does actually have an effect. The big story in Texas with C-scope being eliminated is proof of that, and I think that's something that we need to talk about with our fellows, especially who get frustrated from time to time. It's easy to do with this administration, absolutely. It's easier to do with our own people who, for instance, when they're sent to Congress or the Senate, they do things like vote for cloture on issues that they say they disagree with, and then they come out and claim that they don't want to be obstructionist. We, of course, all know that's BS, so we have to hold them to their principles, but we can do that. This can be done. This can be done, and we can, at the very least, slow down the slide towards tyranny. And even if we can't stop that immediately, we do have means to make sure that some future generation will bring sanity back to the United States of America. People, we are not going to lose. Even if we lose now, and even if that lasts for a few generations, I promise you, okay, I'm not running for anything, and I damn well don't intend to, but I promise you, we will not lose in the end, because personal liberty has been tasted by the common people, and we like it, and we're going to have it, even if it takes us a generation or two to get it back. We have the means, and we have the determination to fight it all the way to the end. And this is a big victory in Texas with C-Scope, and there will be other victories. It's not all bad news, and we need to make sure that everyone in our circle knows this. And we need to make sure that people outside the circle know this. We need to make sure that the left understands that they're not going to be able to just march through, that we're going to be there to slow them down, stop them, and throw a monkey wrench into their plans every chance we get. All right. About time for this whole thing to get wrapped up here. Didn't want to end the show without talking about awesome Americans, and I don't have an example because, as with the Boston bombing, there are just too darn many of them. I mean, as soon as the disaster happened in Oklahoma, the same as the disaster in Texas, people began to come from all over to help. I mean, the aid from people from several neighboring states and other states, individuals, organizations, churches, it has been nothing short of fantastic. There have been so many stories of self-sacrifice and Americans being awesome that, frankly, I don't have time to get into all of them. Just except to say that this, once again, we seem to always be finding examples of Americans being the fantastic people that we really are. When it comes time for us to help, we don't care. We jump in there and do what we need to do. All right, just want to remind everyone very quickly that if they want to get hold of me, they can do so via Twitter. That's twitter.com/UBG contact. That's Unpleasant Blind Guy Contact, UBG Contact. Want to quickly say one more thing before I cut the thing off here. That is that Memorial Day is coming up, and it'll come up between now and my next show. It really is hard to find words to express how much I appreciate those who have sacrificed themselves in our services, in our military services, for our freedoms. What they did when they had to do it. If you want to go to agador.freeshell.org and /thanks.html. I did a thing there not too long before the opening of the Iraq War. That's a bit of something, but I just want to say here that I thank the families and, of course, all the veterans who sacrificed themselves so that I and my fellow Americans can be free. words do fail me. Okay, time to wrap this up. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Thank you, and may your God go with you. Bye-bye.